Okay, we recording?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Garbage Town listeners. We're starting this new segment on the show, basically like a music book club. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you guys an album or a band or something like that to discuss. And then a month from now, on our next music week, we're going to have an in-depth discussion about it. And we'd like you to be able to listen along. The next, we want you to tweet along. And so our first one, we're gonna do Pinkerton, the critically acclaimed album by Weezer, as most already know. We decided to talk about this because of Weezer's new album, and also everyone at the house has extremely varied experiences with this album that we think all provide us with interesting points of view on this album. And so 1 month from now, we're going to do our discussion about this album. How should I end this?
That's perfect.
Okay.
You should end it with how should I end this?
Yeah, how should
Right before we started this cast, we went over to Best Buy, and on the way, I stopped at the Pizza Hut Express. And to kind of start off the music theme for the day, I ordered a pizza, and then Sebastian came through and ordered a sandwich. And we told him that he should get a pizza instead, and the guy behind the counter said, "Don't let him convince you to get pizza. I'm in a pop punk band, and I don't even like pizza."
And then my response was horrible. I was like, "You're in a pop band, you don't like pizza?" And he was like, "Oh God,
You're gonna pop a bass with a pizza?
it was so bad."
Is that how you said
What
it?
is wrong?
That's exactly how I said it.
And the
I
guy,
couldn't tell if you were doing a reenactment of how you messed
That's
up,
a
or if
reenactment.
you were messing up right now.
I mean, you've been having a lot of trouble talking lately.
That was a reenactment.
It's 'cause
I
of
was
the
surprised
Coke.
with how accurate
all
that
the Coke.
reenactment was.
It was good.
Yeah.
That was the best speaking I've heard from you in a while.
I know. You've been really messed up on Coke. I'm speeding up.
All right, for those who don't know, this is
We're high.
This
high.
is
As a kite by then. By now. I mean, sorry.
This coincides with the old rock and roll mantra: rock, sex, and drugs.
Rock and roll ain't noise pollution.
Wait, is that the? What is it? It's something like that.
It's rock, sex, and drugsy rolls.
I think.
I'm getting close.
Oh, no.
We're getting
Rock,
close to what it is.
sex, rock, and pizza rolls.
It's drugs about
Oh no!
to sex. We salute you.
For those about to drugs,
I don't remember who.
we have sex with you. That's
I'm not sure who said this to me. I feel like it was. I was at some. It was like one of my friend's parents in high school, and they're like, "You're gonna play in a band?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Sex, drugs, and rock and roll." I think I can do without the rock and roll. And I was like,
Did you just throw up right there?
I was like, that's. I was just
You're
like,
like, dude, rock
yeah,
and roll is my life.
Music is my savior. Mims is my favorite band as well.
Dude, music is my sex, man. Music is my drugs.
Music is my rock
Music
and
is my
roll.
drugs. Sex is my rock. Drugs is my sex.
And roll.
All right,
Yeah.
and rolling.
Yeah,
We're rolling.
Welcome to the cast.
Welcome to the
Okay.
Garbage Cast. Hey, Sebastian.
What's up, Keaton?
Welcome to the episode.
Welcome to the Garbage Cast, everybody.
Welcome to
Welcome
Garbage
to the
Cast.
Garbage
Hey guys,
Yes.
welcome to Garbage Cast.
Episode
This is
Welcome to
episode
the
9, I
8,
think.
The
I think
Force
it's a music
Awakens.
Welcome to
episode.
the
Nope,
music.
episode 9.
Guys, so this episode's about
Star
music.
Wars, The Force Awakens.
Episode
welcome to-
9.
I don't know. We're really
Music.
excited to be doing another podcast
The
on
Force
music this
Unleashed 3.
Star Wars Music Cast.
I like the music from Star Wars.
What do you guys think is the best music
Oh my gosh,
in Star Wars?
We are
movie?
not doing another Star Wars theme.
I like
This is Music Week. Welcome, listeners.
I do
This
like
is
the
garbage,
music from Star
Garbage
Wars.
Cast, and we're going to discuss some musical related topics. With me, I have Josh Davis,
Here I am.
Sebastian,
Okay.
and Keenan.
I'm right here.
I think we all have a lot of anxiety about this cast due to the fact that it's been, I think, some of the least musical months of our
Yeah,
lives
that's
the
really
last
true.
2 months.
But it's always
It's always
there's
with
always
us.
music in our heart.
You know, that's true, dude.
I don't know if I agree.
There's always music on my hard drive.
All right, so let's start this out a
There's
little
always
bit.
music on Spotify.
There's always something there. 10 trillion songs and not a thing to listen to, you know what I mean? 10 trillion. So a number that's I made up because it's so big. It's such a big number. I had to make up a new number.
Let's
Put
start
that
this
down,
off
Dave.
quick. What's everyone been listening to? Josh? What have you been listening to?
Well, the only prepared topic any of us has for this cast, I have the new Weezer album prepared to play for you guys, and we're just gonna play it for the next hour. And
Nice. I haven't heard it
hopefully
yet, so
Weezer
this'll be
isn't.
good.
Hopefully Weezer isn't gonna mind.
This is an exclusive stream.
Hopefully Weezer isn't listening to this.
Thank you guys for checking us out. We'll talk to you next week. Here's the album. But you know,
Were you just kidding about that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, let's hear it.
I haven't heard the record yet, so I want to.
Yeah, we were just gonna listen to it through Josh's iPhone
Through the
speakers.
UE boom.
Oh yeah,
the Yui
booms,
boom.
right.
So I got the album thanks to Jordan. He bought me the exclusive 1 of 1,000 burger cassette release of the new Weezer album, Everything Will Be Alright in the End. Lucky for me, because I checked it out and I was going to order one, but by the time I checked, because each member signed 250 of them, and you could pick which member had signed your copy. And by the time I got there, Scott, the bass player, was the only member left, and I just decided not to buy the album at all.
Wow. Which one did you get?
So instead, I didn't know, but Jordan had already bought me the tape, and he bought me the Pat version.
Nice. That's better than Scott, right?
Pat's second best.
Yeah.
Oh,
Possibly even first best. I mean, Rivers definitely is the main creative force in the band, but I mean, Pat has also...
There's something
He's
about
been there the
Pat.
whole time, and he's just a real funny character. Though he has turned into a real conservative political person on Twitter, and it makes me a little uncomfortable.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Man, weird.
He also shares
he's
a
a-
name with your
bitter.
favorite fictional character.
Patrick.
And I bet you appreciate that.
So I've been listening to the album every day because I have it on tape and I can listen to it in my car. And I like the album a lot, and I'm very happy that they finally came out with another album that's good. And I'm so invested in them that I'm just so happy for them that everyone isn't just going to be talking completely bad about them all the time anymore.
Nice.
And in the months approaching the album, I did the same thing I do every single time Weezer releases a new album, and they hype it and they tell everybody over and over again that it's like the Blue Album and it's like Pinkerton. But every single time it's not. But not that I even really wanted it to be. And I don't think this album really is, but I like it a lot. And I think that the things that are really cool about it are the fact that they are acknowledging sort of the actual position they're in the world. And like there's a song about eulogy for a rock band, and it's talking about how they're sort of past their prime, but you know that they're still doing it and liking it, and it's a good song. And there's a lot of songs about Rivers sort of realizing that he sold out to some extent, trying to like chase some other like pop thing, but that he just wants to rock, dude.
I mean, it seems like for the past, I guess like 10 years, Weezer seems to have be existing in this like other universe where like,
Yeah.
they just ignore anything anyone says. You don't want, like, no one knows like where any of this music's coming from emotionally with Rivers, and it finally seems like you're seeing a little bit more of them.
Yeah. A good thing to talk about would be my theory for how you should frame listening to Back to the Shack. I don't think I've talked about this
that
on
a
the
song?
cast yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the
That's
Shack
lead
is
single.
the worst song on the album, also the lead single from the album.
Just like Get Lucky off of Daft Punk's album.
That's still a good song.
I
though.
like that song though.
Back to the Shack
It's the
is-
worst song off the album.
I don't think it's the worst song. That's a little
Okay, what is?
exaggerated. There's a couple songs out that I just don't listen to.
I like Get Lucky.
And listening to Get Lucky out of Touch, like, because Touch has the same chord progression as Get Lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, when it
I will
kicks
agree with
in
that.
to Get Lucky, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
it
Good-
makes
good
that
flow.
song so much better when you listen to it in the context of the album. What was I going to say about the Weezer album? Oh, Back to the Shack. So that song, as everybody knows, is kind of embarrassing and cringeworthy to listen to, but I think that the way you should listen to it when you frame your perception in this scene from a movie. It's a movie about a teenage, probably girl, could be a boy, doesn't really matter, and they're having their normal, trials of life and the breaking away from your parents, becoming a real girl or man.
Yeah.
And as, they grow up, the dad's going through their midlife crisis and they're kind of maybe wanting to live vicariously through their teen or something. And then eventually they realize, like, you know what? I'm still alive. I can still do it. And they get the band back together from high school. And they're like, let's just write a song, dude, and let's get back out there and play. And that song is Back to the Shack, and it plays in the ending scene of the movie when there's just the dad finally books his big show and the daughter's there and she's watching and she's kind of happy for him, but mostly she's just embarrassed of him, and the song's really cheesy and awkward, and he's like, we belong in the rock world. And he's like, there's so many embarrassing lines in
Yeah,
that song.
that should have been the music video.
Hold
The
on.
real music video is them playing on the moon.
Oh, that sounds good.
Real quick, was that a whole storyline you made up for that song?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were describing like the story of the lyrics in that song, and I was
No,
like,
no, the
I was like,
song's
this
not-
sounds like interesting. I was like, wow, this is. I mean, I am the least acquainted with the Weezer canon on this cast, but that got me interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, your fictional.
That's the worst
story.
song.
Josh's Weezer fan fiction.
Yeah.
I've only heard the two good albums. So as far as I'm concerned, Weezer's got a perfect record. they can't go wrong.
I mean, I was pretty excited for this record, and like, I think I was a little bit more optimistic about it than most people. Because like they posted like 15-second clips of a lot of the songs
Yeah.
online,
And they all sounded really good.
and I was then it was weird because then I was disappointed when I heard the record, because I felt like those, like, they chose like good sections
Yeah.
of the songs, and then it went from being disappointed to ultimately like liking the record a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a weird
good.
thing to like reveal hooks in a song before you've heard the whole
Yeah.
song. Because it's like, I mean, it's just like putting out a trailer for a movie or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like part of the thrill of hearing a whole song is hearing the best hooks of it, like as you go through the whole journey of the song. Like once you've heard the main hook, when you hear the whole song, it's kind of just like there's not something to like keep you
yeah, I mean,
listening through the
waiting
whole
for the
thing.
hook.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the weirdest example for me was with that song Anonymous.
Oh, the guitar thing.
Or like just this vocal part, the only vocal part in that song, like that was a hook. That hook, like they put in a video.
Yeah.
That's the only. That song has one part.
Yeah.
It's just that hook, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can help feel a bit disappointed. I don't know. The record's good though.
That's a funny thing. Like, you don't get to do that often. Like, hearing a little bit of a song and then creating a song in your mind, like, around it, being like,
Yeah.
I wonder where this song could go. Like,
And then you're like, oh, it's the same thing, and then it gets twice as fast.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, hey.
And
They
do
have
the-
Haze.
They do the Green
Yeah.
Day
I hate
Simpsons
Haze.
theme song cover, Haze.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not.
Haze. I
You-
feel like Haze don't really belong in
Bad.
music.
What about Whoa, 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 Hey, Hey, Hey?
That song's
What's
okay.
that?
It's a classic.
I've never heard it.
I don't know. I mean, the word "hey" is then rhymed with another word, so it sort of improves it. I mean, it's not a chanted "hey." That's the big. I don't like chanting like that in songs.
Yeah, like,
This goes, hey, hey.
Oh yeah. I mean, gang vocals are almost always horrible.
AFI, dude.
See, I disagree with
AFI
that.
does.
I noticed.
I've never listened to AFI.
Davey.
I hate gang vocals and emo.
I
specifically.
know David's mentioned this a lot. I get. Well, to me, it just depends.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great gang vocals.
What's that song? Like the last
I
song
can't think
on
of a single one I like.
the last song
that's
on
just me. I'll
start naming them, dude.
Snowing's one album. It's got really good gang vocals.
Winter. Is that the album?
No, no.
Okay, let's
I
think
think
of
it's
good gang
Blizzard.
vocals.
There's-
Oh yeah.
I think it works.
First of all, AFI's whole discography.
yes,
I guess I've never listened to AFI. so I
AFI
don't
is
know.
the best band ever.
Ultimate gang vocal.
No,
I mean, what do you think of like different vocal parts at the same time?
I think that's cool, but that's not gang vocals.
Yeah, I know, just a bunch of people singing the same thing.
What
that
do
was
you
like
think about
polyphony.
like gang vocals then like with the single vocal response? You
Uh,
get that?
I don't usually. Like
I'm not
that.
sure if I can even
That's what AFI always does.
conceptualize
I like
it.
when they do it because they're good at it. They're cool.
What did you
Oh
say?
wait, would it be like a part that's like, or the gang vocals would be like, hey, and then the singer would be like, or like
I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of examples. I like the gang vocals on Seacat's record.
Yeah, I mean that was what I was gonna say. Is I just know I use them.
wait, where are they? I can't
There's
even think. of them.
quite a few.
I mean obviously whoa hey, but then like in longer there's a little like gang vocal towards the end. It's like it is impossible now. There's like a big gang vocal response
yeah.
there.
And then actually another good example of gang vocals I think is in
I feel I don't know. It for some reason that part is different because that part only happens once, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think gang vocals are often chanted in
That's-
like a feature of a song. If they're just like flavor to a song, then they're cool. But
Yeah.
if they're like the whole song, then they're stupid.
It's like when there's screamo bands that scream the whole song. It's
Yeah.
like that to me takes the whole point out of the screaming. But I love having a scream in a
Yeah.
climactic part of a song. Gang vocals same way. Gang vocals in a bridge or gang vocals in a last chorus or anything like that. That's cool.
I really like the gang vocal in one of Mikey's songs. The like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Or like the bridge of Home's Not a Place. Like,
yeah,
I'm not sure.
Don't need what's your job.
Oh, is the recorded version gang vocals?
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
gang vocals.
That's
can't
I
be
feel like
good.
that part is a very traditional gang vocal
Yeah.
part, and it repeats.
I guess like I'm just like more accustomed to gang vocals and like
Punk rock.
in
Heavy
genres that I've
music.
become very disillusioned with. So now I'm just like they're all bad.
I mean, the one
Yeah.
thing which I'm not sure if I should say this.
Hit
Okay,
us,
I'll
like,
say it.
hit us with it.
Okay, there are bands that I've
There,
seen
there are bands
live.
that do gang vocals the entire time.
Okay, well, it's
Arcade
not even.
Fire. I like that.
I mean, does that count?
I don't
Are they
know.
all-
But in
I've-
Arcade
I've
Fire,
only
like
listened to
the
Suburbia,
the
or
tone of
what is it called?
The Suburbs.
Yeah, I almost said Suburbia, but
Their first record, like their entire live show, all of them would sing.
But the
I've never
thing
listened
that's
to
fine to me because I feel like
so-
Win Butler has like a very very distinct tone, and he cuts through.
Yeah.
There's some where like there's bands I see every now and then where I'm like, that one section where they all sing and they all harmonize and they're none of them are singing to the mic,
Yeah.
and like
I like that.
and but there's none of them like sound that interesting necessarily. It's like I don't know.
That's why AFI's gang vocals work so well.
'Cause it's
Davey cuts through like a knife,
Yeah.
dude. That guy's got the brightest tone
Yeah.
imaginable.
the guy from Fun when he sings Tonight. I also actually like all of Fun's gang vocals.
I hate that band.
I don't want to talk about that band. Everybody already knows. Josh likes him. Nobody else cares about him. That's enough. Sebastian, what have you been listening to? Let's move on.
What have I been? I thought we were done with the Weezer record.
Unless I
I
come
feel like
up
we
with
haven't even
something
gotten
else.
into it.
Yeah, we can go back to it. I
Have I been listening
I want to
to?
hear what everybody's been listening to.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing.
Okay, I've been my
Chop chop,
music.
buddy. Hurry, hey. Hurry
Okay.
it up.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
My music listening has been greatly affected by the fact that I drive now. So most of it's been in the car, and like I listen to Spotify in the car, and I don't have the paid version, so I can only shuffle.
Yeah.
So basically, I've gone down to like the lowest level of music listening.
Or the highest level.
Yeah.
Shuffle is lowest.
Well, no, I guess what I mean by that is like, wait, I mean, do you pick an album and then it shuffles or something?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I feel like with that,
But shuffling to me is
because when I'm in
not
a
good.
timed environment for like, okay, I only have this like 20 minutes to listen.
you're not gonna
to
listen to
something.
a record.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna pick like the songs that I like or something.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that's actually sort of healthy for music listening. But keep on going.
Anyway, so like I've been choosing what I listen to very much based on the fact that I'm driving. So I want something that's like kind of pleasant, a little bit floaty. I've been listening to like Real Estate or something. So it's like that is like generally when I'm driving, like that band, like all their songs sound kind of the same, but they're all just like really pleasant, nice sounding. So or I listen to bands where I consistently or like most of their songs. So I think the past couple months it's been Y. Like a lot of Y. Because if it's shuffling, like there's a good chance it's gonna be a song that I like quite a bit. I feel like I feel like the past 3 months have been a lot of Y.
Hey, man.
Why is awesome.
I need to listen
was
to it. You guys have been raving about him all the time, or them, I guess. I'm not necessarily him, but is it? It's
a
pretty
guy.
much one guy, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
His brother's
need
in
to-
the band.
I need
They
to listen.
they
to
have
them.
a band. Well, like he started out as one guy, and then I guess it wasn't really called Y at that point, but
Yeah.
then there's a band, and the band I think does a lot for that.
Yeah.
For the songs.
Yeah, I
'Cause
really.
the stuff he had before, like, I don't like quite as much. It was a lot of like, it's like collaged sounds and stuff, like a lot more freeform.
Like number 9 on the White Album.
The White Album.
Revolution number 9.
Just.
Why is also interesting because like looking at their
There's a little pun, and I don't like those, and I don't usually make them, and I never will again. I think puns. I'm just gonna do a little aside. Puns are possibly the lowest form of comedy.
it always
Mimes are near. Mimes and clowns are the same thing.
I always feel weird when I realize that like the Beatles like their name.
Sort of a pun, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't know how to feel about that, but
I don't like
it
that.
makes me feel good because I don't think any band name is good,
But
Yeah.
honestly,
and it makes me feel good that the best
band
bands
names are
ever
kind of-
has
Band names are kind of stupid.
a
Yeah.
bad band name. Yeah.
it's
Can't think
just
of-
it's always what's the word, non sequiturs. I mean, it's like none of it. Very rare is a band name that is applicable to the sound of the music.
Yeah. I mean,
That's not even
And,
the point.
and if it was, it would be like really stupid, probably.
Yeah.
Like,
if there's a band, I feel like a band name that I've generally just felt is like one of the best band names. Weirdly, is Dardo. I feel like it's just so. It's
I
nothing.
think that's a
more-
really good band name.
It's
But
just like there's
don't know if
nothing
it-
bad about it.
I don't know if it sounds like the sound of their music to me.
I guess I guess the thing about band name is like once you listen to that band's music, it doesn't matter. You're
True.
you're
Yeah.
gonna be fine with the name.
Yeah.
All it is
Generally.
something
Unless the name
I-
is really bad at that. Like, I feel like there are some names that are just really stupid.
I still end up just forgetting about it. Like every once in a while,
That's
I'll
true.
think about it again. But
Like, if you think of of Megadeth's band name, that's a stupid.
I feel
band
like metal exists
Metal-
in a different world. Though.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, there's been like
even metalcore. All of the metalcore bands are the exact same. There are 3 letters, and it's
three
like,
letters,
three words. You mean, right?
wait, what did I say?
Three-
3
you
letters.
said 3 letters.
Sorry.
Three letters.
and it's AFI.
I wish.
But it's always like
CKY.
Hate him.
It's
Which I
always
am.
like, oh man, I know what you're saying.
yeah,
like,
like
it's
escape the fate,
yeah,
it's like-
beyond the
it's-
sunset.
it's always like
pierce the veil.
yeah,
it's
like,
always pronoun.
Pedro the
or not
Lion.
pronoun. I'm trying to think of
Portugal
like
the
even the
Man.
right. It's like
it's
It
word.
sounds
It's usually like
Pedro's a verb.
like a verb Like
Design the skyline.
Verb, article,
yeah,
noun.
verb, article, noun is like the sort of
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much always.
yeah.
always
And then
right.
sometimes you get an extra letter or
Extra word.
word. Like I don't know why I'm.
Yeah.
English major over here.
Yep.
Hey.
But you know, you got like Bring Me the Horizon, which is essentially the same, but
Yeah.
it just has an extra noun
Bring
in
the
there.
horizon.
I really like how bands. When I played Cornerstone a couple of years ago. I don't know if the listeners know, but I went on tour and played at a Christian music festival, which was an interesting experience.
It's a big one.
It was the biggest, like Christian non-pop music festival, like Christian DIY music festival.
Yeah.
And being a non-religious person in a non-religious band was very strange playing at a place like that. But anyway, most of the bands there were metalcore.
It's weird.
There's a huge
It's
Christian current.
Yeah, I mean, most of the big
metalcore.
metalcore bands are Christian.
Yeah.
And some of them only so far as they associate with the scene because it's better for business. But like, I think like Bring Me the Horizon consider them. No, I'm thinking the Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah,
That's
Devil
what
Wears Prada
I mean.
is
They're like at one point they were the metalcore band.
yeah. Same with like Under Oath.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still say that the Devil Wears Prada is still like the metalcore band. Like they're the
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
they're the
It's-
old
yeah.
kings of the genre.
And
at
the
least.
association with Christianity is kind of interesting, but it makes sense considering I feel like the fan base, like it makes sense from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Because the fan base is young. It's like a lot of 14, 15-year-olds, and I feel like if parents see that these bands are like
Oh yeah.
religious or
Yeah.
might be a positive influence on their kids in their minds, like I feel like they're more like they'll drive their kids to the shows and let
Yeah, and
them
they'll buy them
T-shirts
CDs
and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I've heard is like also, not to slight any of our listeners, just from what I've heard about like the business of metalcore is just like that Christian people buy more records than like other groups in America, and so they just got to
'Cause they don't
target
steal.
because they don't steal.
Thou shalt not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they're a lot. It's like typically like a higher class group of people too, as far as like money, social, like and all that.
You
But
think they have it easy? They're oppressed, dude.
they're oppressed. All right.
Five
Metalcore,
guys,
metalcore
gamers.
is funny. All I want to say is metalcore is
is.
very funny.
See,
Not if you like it though, then it's cool. Try not to offend any listeners out there.
See, Vess, have you been listening to anything else?
Metalcore?
How much metalcore have you been listening to? And what's your favorite metalcore band?
I've listened to like in the past 2 months like one metalcore song.
Oh yeah, what was it?
I don't know. Dave was playing it and I could hear it. You guys were playing some metalcore the other day. Were you?
No,
Oh yeah, we were
no.
we were listening-
I don't think we listened to that song.
No, you listened to something in your room.
Protest the Hero.
Yeah, we were
Protest
listening
the
to
Hero.
Protest the Hero.
and Atreyu and
Yeah,
all
because
those
we were
bands.
looking for more shred metal bands.
Yeah, man.
Wait,
2000s
what was
a
that
good
one
time
band?
for shred
Were you
metal.
calling that band Chiodos one?
Yeah,
Chiodos.
I didn't know the guy from like the people in that band are like I didn't know that the Thomas Eric was in that band.
It was he.
The guy from singer guitarist. Maybe I'm wrong. From Paul Troy.
I have no idea.
Oh,
He
I think
plays-
that's
he
very.
plays guitar
I
in
think
that
that's
band?
actually
Wait,
true.
really?
And then
Yeah.
Thomas Pridgeon plays drums,
Yeah.
which is like the drummer from Mars Volta.
And the singer is like.
They joined in the past year. Or two.
Oh,
Wow.
I know.
That is
It was
really
really
strange.
weird.
I mean that band.
I
Is,
don't know anything about that band.
that band has like they're very virtuosic. Like Johnny Craig is the singer. He can sing like so ridiculously high, and he's. I mean the whole band is. A lot of these metalcore bands are very much about getting some of the most skilled musicians together to play this crazy this very hard to play, but not necessarily all that hard to write music.
Yeah.
but it's yeah Chiodos. My friend JJ used to really like Chiodos, and he would always play their songs for me, and I always remember that they would have one song where the riff was really cool.
wait.
The intro riff was like
Yeah.
killer, and I was like, yeah, that song's cool. And then the singer would come in, and it would just be this whiny, high pitched guy, and be like, oh, turn this off, like please.
I thought
Please
that
stop.
name was pronounced like Chiodos.
That sounds like a
Cheetos.
Like Cheetos.
Chiodos.
Cheetos sounds like a Pokemon.
That
Oh,
sounds
that's
Cheetos.
funny about this.
Cheetos.
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 I saw today. We were at the mall today, Dave, and there was a Cheetos bag. It said Cheetos fries.
Oh, that sounds good.
It looked
Why
like an
didn't you
old fashioned
point them out to
Cheetos
me?
bag. It was in a vending machine.
Why didn't you point it out to me?
Would you have found that interesting?
I would have bought it.
It was no. They were just normal Cheetos,
Oh.
but they were in the old fashioned packaging. And I guess maybe when they were first came out, they were called Cheetos fries.
That makes
Wow.
sense.
I don't know.
I was going to ask earlier if you guys actually have any band names that you think describe the sound of the music well.
Metallica.
Like,
Because they're
well,
a metal band.
it doesn't explicitly describe it, but it just fits.
Like the sound of the music.
Oh, okay.
Like the mood of the name
Yeah.
fits. Okay.
David Bowie.
David Bowie. That's definitely Weird Al Yankovic. His name. There we go. His name sounds really funny, and he makes funny music. I feel like that's pretty close, actually. I think that's about the closest we're gonna get at
I
it.
feel like
Oh, wait. Actually, I'm not sure about this one.
Hit it. Hit us with it.
I
Don't
feel
be
like
embarrassed, David.
I feel like Explosions in the Sky or like something like that. There's some band like that.
Explosion in the Sky sounds like a metalcore band to me.
Yeah.
It
they're
does,
like,
yeah.
Explosions in the sky.
I wish you said that a little louder. Dave.
Turn it up.
I wish you
in
screamed
post.
that.
Are you scanning through names right now?
Yep. Is this cheating?
I think
No, I'd really like to know some. I don't.
How
I
does
think
Elsh work?
we
I
associate.
don't know.
You guys sound like an elk.
Just because that name doesn't have any association, so I can associate your.
We associate.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best.
sounds with, like, I mean, we associate the sounds of bands with their names. Like, when I think of a band
Dream
name,
Decay.
I sort of think of the band's like style of music too.
I think
When-
Iron
Oh.
Lung might be pretty apt. Or Mutant Video. Mutant Video is probably the most. Well, at least live, it makes sense.
I think Slow Dive sounds like Slow Dive.
The band Sleep, maybe, because their songs are like an hour long, sort of. That's
That
Oh,
band
that's
Lush
I've
sounds.
never heard of
Oh, Lush.
Lush and
I've
Slow
never
Dive
even
are
heard
both,
the
like,
band.
shoegaze bands.
That just sounds like their name would fit.
It's just
with
like
it.
super reverby guitars and like
Yeah, that sounds
girly
lush.
vocals,
That one sounds pretty right. That sounds good.
swirlies. Kind
Sun, if you consider the context of they just use those amps.
That's definitely true. Their names Their name sounds just like their guitar tones.
Yep.
I think that Cream is pretty good. It sounds like sweet, like cream.
I think Word sounds like their
Bow, 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 bow. I like that band. That's one of the few classic rock
It's
bands
funny
I still
because
listen
now I'm
to.
trying to think of bands whose names for their style music. I feel like it's all shoegaze.
In
bands I
a
can think
white
of.
room
That's
with
interesting.
black curtains.
'Cause I feel like the sound of those bands is like the point of those bands.
I like Cream a lot. I really like their hits.
I like whipped cream.
The band sounds like a band.
Keenan?
What have I been
Yeah,
listening
what have you
to?
been listening to?
For me as well, most of my music has been in the car lately, as well as like before I had I had a flat tire for quite some time, and so I had been walking to work, and so I put songs on my phone because I knew that I had planned to walk around a lot when I moved to Seattle, like around the city and stuff. I was like, if I was busing and all that stuff. So I put albums on my phone, but I don't have a lot of albums on my computer. I gotta like do some more like transferring and stuff, and so I just put what I had with the intent to put more on. And so on my phone, I currently have Dog Breath, which I really like that band. Ex-Military by Death Grips. Not a good walking album per se. And then
Talking
Kanye
about
West.
being like paranoid and stuff, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
And then Kanye West's complete discography. And so as I've been walking,
You
The
walk
best-
around listening, touch the sky.
the best
I'm gonna touch the sky.
the best walking music for me has been like graduation.
Yeah.
And
Good
I mean,
morning.
yeah, I just like I would like leave work at like midnight and put my headphones in and just start up that album.
You put both headphones in
Ooh.
Yeah.
Stereo.
while walking at night?
Yeah. On Lake City
What
Way.
if
It's
a
not like
guy
it's-
comes up to you and hits you with a bat in the head?
I'm gonna die regardless. I mean, what
you
am I
could
gonna?
hear him coming up.
I
I'd
can hear
rather
him coming
get
up
hit in the
either
head
way.
totally
You'll hear him
unprepared
coming up anyways?
than
Yes.
turn around
How
for a second.
quiet
and
is your
get hit in the
music?
face.
I listen to it so I can hear people walk by, so I can hear cars drive by. I don't know. I don't ever like blast music. I like to be able to hear other things most of the time. Like if I don't know. But anyway, so I've been listening to mostly graduation, some late registration, sometimes a little college dropout on my walks to work. For some reason, I kept I would always forget to put more music. And by forget, I mean I would forget, but I wasn't ever bummed about it because I really like graduation, and so I would just keep listening to it. Then once I got my car back, I started driving again, and JJ, my friend JJ, once more, if you're listening, JJ, you still owe me these CDs. He's had my CDs. I've had like this little booklet of like all the CDs I burned from my computer, and they've been in his house for months. And so in my car, all I've had is Tyler the Creator, Wolf, and then Earl Sweatshirt's Doris, and then Joyce Manor's most recent album, Never Hung Over Again.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the rap albums got sun damaged. So they both skip really bad, can't listen to them anymore. I do have my like non-burned copy of Off's first album. I don't know where the CD is. So all I've got is Joyce Manor's most recent album for seriously like 3 months. That's all it's been in my
It's
car.
such a short album.
Yeah, but Joyce Manor, at this point, I'd say they're like my favorite band
Wow.
of like all time at this point. Right now, just at this point in my life, I love Joyce Manor.
They speak to your current.
They speak to my, I don't know. I think they're just like a good band, and everything about their philosophy of how they make music is exactly what I like.
Mm-hmm.
Their songs are short, they're punk influenced, they're lo-fi. Not the new album as much, but it's still got sort of the sound.
Their recordings are pretty aggressive.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
Sounding.
They're like the
Emotional.
guy yells and they're emotional. Like every single thing I expect from like a rock band, not expect, but everything I want from a rock band, they do. They've got hooks. Like they play solos sometimes, and I like solos. And
Yeah.
pretty much all three of their albums has like everything I would want from rock records. Not to say that they're the only band that I like ever listen to, because when I'm at home I don't listen to them because I only listen to them in my car at this point. But that's all I've been. It's so funny that it feels weird to me that the only things I've been listening to are Kanye West and Joyce Manor for the past like while.
Yeah.
The other thing that's nice about Joyce Manor, especially the new record, it's like they are like in a way a pop punk band. They're also definitely like an emo band in my mind.
Yeah.
But in more in songwriting and less in like a lot of bands that are coming out now that would consider themselves emo. I feel like it's in like the guitar playing style or like the drumming, which to me is pretty superficial when it comes to like a song. Like that's not it's not about the melodies at that point. It's about how fast you play the melodies or how much like just the way it's played. Whereas
Totally.
Joyce Manor stuff like in songwriting, I feel like it is pretty emo and like
Yeah,
and, like, and it
like
seems
subject
cool.
matter and everything.
yeah, and
too,
like
yeah.
watching like live videos, seeing like the crowd's reaction to a lot of their songs is really cool.
Yeah, I think they're just a cool band that I really like. I just like the way they do things, and I think I also started getting into them right when I started liking pop punk and emo, and so they sort of bridged the gap. When I was getting into because I really got into pop punk and emo at about the same time, and so since they play pretty much both, and they're like one of the best bands at playing either. They're just such an easy band to get into at that point. Mm-hmm. And then they bridged the gap to me to like Algernon Cadwallader and Snowing and all these other like harder to listen to, less poppy kinds of bands.
I mean, I don't know. The new Joyce Manor record has been harder for me to get into than I expected. I haven't even listened to the whole thing.
Oh,
I still really like their self-titled.
you got to listen to it in the car 500 times.
Okay.
That's how you know.
That'll help.
I mean, I don't even listen to it anymore when it's playing. But sometimes like I will pay attention. Like I barely even pay attention to it in the car. But like if I for some reason turn the radio up, even like I scrape it on accident, then I will start paying attention.
I think that's interesting, really quickly about my music listening this past 3 months
Yeah.
or whatever. Has been like, I used to listen to bands. I used to like good lyrics, but I used to not really be bothered by bad lyrics. And all of a sudden, I like if lyrics are bad, I just do not want to hear a song.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I'm just like starting to care a lot more about that,
totally.
which has like cut out half the music I used to listen to.
That
that has lazy lyrics.
Yeah. Once I started caring about lyrics, that's when I got out of metal too, because I mean metal is just notorious for bad lyrics.
Yeah.
Like some of the only like I don't know. I'm trying to think of even any metal bands that like I feel like the lyrics are all that good. Of like the bands, because I used to listen to like thrash and speed metal,
Yeah.
and those are the worst
Yeah.
lyricists. Like the only
Yeah.
bands like Municipal Waste, all their songs are about goofy shit already. So like their bad lyrics are totally like palatable because the songs are sort of
It's
tongue in
expected
cheek
also.
already, and so it's fine.
Yeah.
And then like the only metal I ever listen to anymore is like drone metal and doom metal where there's like almost no singing, and then
Yeah.
like
Gotta
Black
listen to-
Sabbath and
got also more
I
bias.
think
Waste.
like indie rock's like issue with lyrics is different than a lot of other genres where like in metal there are metal bands that have like cringy like horrible lyrics.
yeah.
Indie bands I feel like it's rarely that, but it's just like so forgettable.
Yeah.
There are bands that I feel like a lot of it just has to do with like the style of music and like the community that likes it, but I think a lot of songwriters, if they feel slightly insecure about their lyrics, will just try to be as vague as possible.
Oh yeah.
Or
And
just
then-
like use beautiful sounding words or beautiful
Yeah.
like imagery in their lyrics, and like it just doesn't actually.
Yeah. I think
Mean anything.
I think that's why I've been pretty into Y recently. Is like he has very blunt lyrics and
Yeah.
like and he's not hiding his lyrics anyway. There's a lot of bands will like put a ton of reverb on their voice
Yeah.
or mumble a little bit just so like the lyrics aren't the focus. Why the focus is the lyrics mainly for me. And,
Yeah.
like, and also his songs like have a lot of lyrics
Yeah.
and he has like a lot of songs.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm always impressed by people who can write a lot of lyrics.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in the case of Y, it's pretty. I mean, I'm like making an assumption, but it seems to me like the way he probably writes lyrics is like he probably has like a notebook and writes like interesting phrases or like just like thoughts,
Yeah.
and then the songs are kind of just like whatever could fit in the song together. He just puts in the song together.
Yeah. That's still like really cool. Like for me at least as a musician, the music is the easiest part. I mean for a lot of songwriters, especially younger songwriters, the music is like the easiest part by far.
Yeah.
And then the lyrics like are so hard. Sometimes the lyrics will come like a lot of times I write lyrics, and it seems like this is pretty atypical for a lot of people. But like I write lyrics like by I would just like jam with my band, and then like just try to come up with lyrics on the spot. And then I would usually just like go from there. Pretty much try not to change them as much as possible. But I mean, the type of music that I write is like I try to be pretty emotional and everything too. So it really has to be like from the moment. Otherwise, the lyrics are gonna be really cringy because I'm gonna try to like recreate a moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, another hard thing is like when you're improvising like that, if you're sitting with a guitar or playing with a band, like you are like, you'll usually choose phrases that fit with the music, rhythmically and sound wise very
Well,
well.
yeah, that's definitely the hardest part
Yeah.
with lyrics for me is
Yeah.
making rhythmic sense lyrically.
Yeah.
Because I always want to talk about a specific thing with a song. I usually have an idea lyrically for the song, like or thematically with a song, but like when it comes to like the vocal rhythm and executing on that, like that is definitely the hardest part for me.
Yeah. You gotta try improvising.
Yeah, because then there's this like
You do have to try improvising. Not necessarily with a band at all.
I feel
But,
like
I don't know. That seems to be like the key for me.
Well-
And that doesn't mean you improvise your actual lyrics. That means you're literally just improvising like anything,
lyrics,
the melody and everything. And then you'll literally just start taking the sounds of words and the sounds of things that you did, and then you can fit your stuff that you write even separately lyrically with it.
Well, I feel like my situation is a little bit different because I only do vocals for music where I only scream,
Yeah.
or like where I only shout or whatever. And like even the music creation of that is different. Like every song is composed instead
Yeah.
of like jammed out.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I usually figure out a vocal rhythm like compositionally as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like improvising is like not
Well, you already have done it. You don't have to improvise if you've already composed it.
yeah, but I guess like the issue comes in when like I know what makes rhythmic sense, but I'm trying to then like fixate words that make thematic sense with the rhythm.
Yeah.
And like I guess specifically just like the situation I get in is like the thing I want to say right now has too many syllables, or the thing I like.
I mean, I feel like one thing when it comes to songwriting or just any sort of artistic thing, that I feel like the like unconscious mind like can do a lot and do it very well.
Yeah.
And like that's why I think, you know, a lot of artists maybe go, like turn towards drugs or something, you know, a way to shut off their critical mind. And like that's why I think improvising, especially if you're doing it for a little while, you'll just get in a point where you can just say whatever. Like I mean, maybe it's half gibberish and half actual words, but and then I mean, I don't have that much experience like writing vocals at all, but I think you reach a place where you won't even realize that the more you're playing it, you're repeating things.
Yeah.
You'll think it's all random, but you're like, oh wait, there's like I will always make this sound here at least. Like I'll end on this syllable, this vowel, or like, and that's say I feel the same way when it comes to like for me in Special Explosion, like writing guitar stuff. It's like when I feel most comfortable is when I'm like completely out of it.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not thinking about it, and then I don't know.
Stoned out of your mind.
Yeah, when I'm just super baked, dude.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, and it's interesting because like I think that state of mind obviously doesn't need to be reached through drugs or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
to do that or through being by yourself and having kind of like a meditative songwriting experience, or through like I think I really like recording, like just multi-track recording by myself, and like you reach a point where it like the routine part of it becomes like so monotonous almost that you already kind of I already get kind of like spaced out by the time I even record. I don't know, and I think that's like that's what Josh said about improvising is definitely true. It's like you can surprise yourself with what you come up with generally.
Yeah, I've
Like
noticed,
things will just come out of a different place than you
Yeah.
expect.
I've noticed that like as far like for me so far when we've been jamming in this house, I like when I was jamming with JJ and Jake, which was my old drummer. That was like when it was just the three of us together. Usually in my garage with like bad equipment, it was like the best time for me to come up with like lyrics and stuff because it was so like I felt extremely comfortable like doing anything in front of these guys, and so I could just like play any like guitar parts that I was like coming up with or whatever we were working on, and then just like yell or scream or make any weird sounds I wanted, and then just come up with all the lyrics like that way. And most of the stuff that I came up with in that setting, like just came out and almost no editing, like just became the songs. And that was like really comfortable and really easy to write in. And then so far since we've been in this house, I just haven't like quite jammed here enough with like, with like enough people in the right like settings where I haven't quite got to that like pure open state yet.
Yeah.
It's like I'm excited. I mean, that'll happen in this house, and then I'll get a lot of good work done. But it's like, it's interesting. Just like that's just like so much of. I realize that so much of my like songwriting process of getting songs done at all is to like get into that like super open state
Yeah.
where I can just make anything up that I like can,
Yeah.
and then it works out all at once.
I've been in kind of a bad spot when it comes to productivity, like with recording or trying to write stuff. And like, it's weird though because like, usually when I go to a new place, like in like, whether I'm in like a studio or someone else's house playing someone else's guitar, there's like some inspiration I'll get from that, and that's cool. And I got that when we moved here. Like I felt
Yeah.
like wow, like being in a new house is different. The issue is that I'm not as comfortable like recording here. Like at
Yeah.
home, it was like when I lived in Bellevue, it was like my setup. Had the same setup for like years, and like I would always do everything upstairs there. And like when I would play guitar by myself, I'd always be sitting on the couch upstairs, and like I was very comfortable in that environment. Didn't necessarily feel as inspired though. Like it would be harder to come up with stuff, but it'd be easier to finish things. Here, it's like I'll have ideas and it'll be cool, but like I just have no motivation to like
Totally.
set up my interface and record. Like it's just that seems like a harder step here.
It's
I don't know
just
why.
I mean, I think it's just a change of environment is a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think usually we aren't like around people who are all trying to make their own thing as much. Like at my house, I guess it was sort of chaotic because like my dad was always coming up with weird ideas of like new marketing scams that he was trying to pull. And then like my brother would be writing music for our punk band. But like I felt like, I mean, that was like the space where I created this stuff, like mostly like the item finder stuff. And that's just like what that's, like I got myself into like a comfort zone. And now I guess there's also, it's like, not that it feels like this, but like with all of us here, we're all like getting stuff done, like ambitious, working on our own thing. It's like competitive, like a more competitive environment. You know what I mean? Not really like I feel like we can like, in an environment like this, you can like push each other to do better stuff because you have critics that are like your friends, but also do the same thing as you, so they can like provide a good ear and eye to like help you get it better. But it's also kind of scarier because like if I showed my dad something, he'll be like, "That's perfect, that's amazing." Yeah. But then you guys will still like say that you'll probably still be really nice and say that it's good, but like I want to impress you guys.
Yeah.
And we each probably want to impress each other a little more than we would want to impress like the people at our homes.
It's
true.
It's interesting. Like that's definitely been a part of it here. Knowing that I'm playing guitar in my room, acoustic guitar, Dave can hear me.
That's probably true.
And it makes me pretty stressed out because the way I play generally, I will repeat the same. Like when I'm by myself and no one can hear it, I will repeat the same thing, the same 2 seconds, like literally hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And that's the way I work on it. And I'm like, man, Dave's gonna think I'm just like, I think this thing I'm repeating is the best thing ever. Obviously, I'm repeating it hundreds of times, and I get paranoid.
Yeah, that's so funny. Just because, like, I mean, I do this when I'm not writing like hard-ish songs, like I do the exact same thing where like I just play the same thing like over and over.
Well, it was the first time I played guitar in my room. I came upstairs and you sang a riff I was playing, and I was like,
I mean, that's a good sign. Like I think that's a good riff, and like it's still like stuck in my head sometimes.
I couldn't tell, but like I couldn't tell what the emotion was. I was like, is it dumb? Is he singing because it's cheesy, or like I got really paranoid.
That was my way of being like you fucking suck.
But just like then I was like, oh man, it is different here, but I'm reaching a point where I don't care.
Yeah,
and it's fine.
Like I the whole thing about the creative process and repetition is, it's like great for the person making it because you get to keep like enjoying the thing you're making and like seeing it get better. But like when we've been jamming that song of mine that's just like Sebastian's been helping me like write a song that's just like one chord progression, really like short song, really simple, and it's just him and I have been like jamming it, and like my guitar player JJ came over and we've been jamming it that way too. And we've played it like multiple times, and even like playing it twice, I feel like a little embarrassed because I just
Really?
want to, just because you want to keep repeating it to like figure out little more nuances about it. But you got your friend like playing drums, and you just like, let's do it again.
See, that was the funny thing was yesterday. I was like, I wanted to repeat that song. More.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to do it if they don't want to. But I was like,
No,
I'm not going to reach any point of being able to play this at all unless I repeat it like
I mean,
5
that's
more
just the
times.
thing with like I think you always like when you're creating something, especially in the early stages, or maybe even more so in the later stages when it's closer to done, you like kind of feel you kind of feel a little embarrassed about it, especially like Josh has talked about this before, like when you create something and it's fresh, you're so attached to it still that like it's way more embarrassing to look at. Yeah. But then once it's more detached from you, it's not a big a deal. And then it's especially a big a deal, as big a deal. Blah, blah. I know that's.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I know I had to bring that up because
it sounded so normal.
it's a big a deal. It sounded so weird to me that I just said it.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
But I mean, yeah, just like
Chiados.
yeah, I mean, just the whole process of like repetition when you're like writing music is like I feel like cringe about it a little bit.
I love repeating stuff a lot. Like,
Yeah,
working on it. I think that's like like with Special Explosion when you first like, that's how a lot of like earlier songs came about, was through repeating like a chord progression we would seriously do it for like 30 minutes an hour.
Yeah.
But then after doing it so much, like one person would maybe start like, kind of just like accenting the one a little bit more, or maybe dropping the one, and then that like Jacob would hear that or something, and then maybe accent that, and then I think after repeating a riff that was really plain for half an hour, it becomes like a very accented, like more of a groove based riff later on, just because like
That makes sense.
you can, I don't know.
Jeez,
Yeah.
I can't help but think of that scene in like a cheesy way where someone's like playing something on a guitar and they're like, yeah, I like that, and like then they join in, they're like at their own flair, and they're like, and then like the drum will come in, and it's like,
And he's like,
oh yeah, I get it.
And there's a guy with like the bongos in the background. Oh yeah. And then they've got this Latin jam going on. all of a sudden.
And then you get a horn player who just comes in and goes,
I mean,
And then a guy already knows the words and he starts singing it.
yeah, exactly.
Baby, come on. I assume those are probably the words.
I mean, I think like that kind of repetition was why like a big reason I liked like playing live also, is because I feel like at the time, like when he started playing those songs live, like we had known like all the nuances of each little section, like when it came to accent.
yeah.
I think specifically with accenting, and I feel that's like, I don't know. I feel like
I'm sure
that's,
it's what
yeah.
separates you guys too. Is there's a lot of little details that a lot of other bands.
Yeah.
and then also at that point it becomes you don't have to think about it, because that is the way you play it.
Right.
And that's what kind of going back to what I was saying about like, unconsciously like writing things or playing things. And I think if you repeat it long enough and it becomes completely natural, like you'll just play it better than you could if you're really
totally.
trying and thinking about it.
Yeah.
And also like when I play live, like I reach a point where I'm not even very aware of anything.
Yeah.
And that's the state I like to be in, because I feel like that's when I play the best. Because
that's
once
nice.
I start thinking about a part, I'm for sure gonna mess it up somehow.
Oh my god.
And like that's the worst for me. It's like I reach this point where I'm like, I'll be in this like headspace that's like I'm not really thinking about time or anything, and then all of a sudden I'll think, and then I feel like everything is lost, and I'm like, I don't even know what tempo is.
Yeah.
Like I don't know the structure of this song. I literally like, because I reach a point where I don't really think about the chords.
Yeah.
Like what the actual chords are. I just you just play it, and once I think about it, I'll forget it.
Yeah. I feel that happens. I feel like for people like singers, that's like lyrics is like the biggest thing. Like if I think about the words to any of my songs at any point in the song, I can't sing the song anymore. But I mean, but if I like think the lyrics to like when I'm playing with Seacat to like a Seacat song, I like know the lyrics, like I could like read the lyrics out, because I like know those from listening to them and from like, and just from being around them, but they're not like mine. And so like I don't have that sort of stream of consciousness feeling about it.
Playing with Seacast was really like a few couple shows I did on guitar and bass, were like really interesting for me because like I had to memorize the chord progressions.
Yeah.
Like I knew the chords, and like in Special Explosion, if you asked me, hey, well, like tell me what the chord progression for this section is, I would probably need a second. Whereas like at that point when I was playing guitar for you, like I would remember it because I had to think about it, and like that's why I think I found a lot of the shows stressful. It was kind of scary because I was doing it like moment to moment and being very aware of like each chord and like each little thing because it wasn't natural and it wasn't at a point where I repeated it so much.
Yeah.
Where it could have been. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I feel like that's also an important skill to have as a musician. Is like being able to
Actually,
play when it's not natural because everyone can.
Well, it just creates different energy.
Yeah,
And it's like, I think our two bands are on the opposite ends of that spectrum. I think that I enjoy being in the spot you're talking about more, but I think that the way that Seacats plays creates interesting
being what spot, you mean?
situations. Like being in that, like in the zone, like
Oh,
you
yeah,
talk about getting
yeah.
a Special Explosion, like that's really fun. I never like that in Seacats. Like it's really stressful, and I'm always just like, what do I need to do to make sure this is gonna go well?
Yeah, and also-
the entire time.
I know. Also, it's easier for me not singing because like
That
Yeah.
makes
I
sense.
can kind of just be back there, just do whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
But like fighting against something just makes something kind of more, I don't know, urgent or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, part of the fun of playing in Seacats is that everybody is usually paying a little more attention to like the chords, the chord progression of the song, and all that stuff, because I mean, a lot of our sets do like we'll take a song in a funny direction,
Yeah.
or like we'll take a song into like a Latin jam. And if you want to like break down the bridge of Wrecked into a Latin jam, you got to know what the chords are.
Yeah.
And like,
It's like it's a lot more free as to what the music's actually going to sound like. It's just like there's these notes that we're playing that are sort of a base of it, and
yeah,
we just have to try to stick with it as best as we can, no matter what.
yeah. And so with Seacats, I'm always like trying to make sure, like when I hit a chord, I'm like, all right, this is A, and then this is D, because at any point you may need to like. We never like transpose stuff like in that way, but I just need to like, if we decide to change the sound, I need to be like, all right, this is an A, so let's make it an A7.
Yeah.
Let's make this an A minor. Like
Yeah.
if we want to make something like a joke, or like do something that's not funny, but just really like actually pretty cool with like a weird change to the music. I have to like pay so much attention to the chords with that way.
So much to me about like what I think is important in a show is being able to reach that level of not having to think.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is like comes from the like I said, like all that repetition. Like when it comes to guitar, I spent very long time memorizing scales and shapes and stuff
Yeah.
because now I don't know them. I can play them.
Oh yeah.
And it feels really natural and like it's funny. I was thinking after that. So for the listeners, Special Explosion played a house show for the first time in a while, like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, and I had no weird experience playing that show. I was like really on edge, and, like really nervous.
Funny.
I was just
He was rolling.
But I was really
We were
like,
all rolling.
I was really stressed out playing that.
I was
and
bowling.
I realized that this summer, every show we had played had been in a venue with a stage and a monitor mix, and like we're somewhat separated. And I used to hate that. I used to only like playing house shows or
Yeah.
something where like the energy's there. Whereas now it's like, not to sound like, this sounds so not DIY, but like, I like being on a stage where I'm a little bit further away and I have like my monitors.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like, that feels like practicing. Because the only people I'm playing to are Andy, Lizzie, and Jacob. And like, I like having kind of a us against them kind of like mentality when you play a show. Which is bad. I feel like some people get turned off by that. Like, because sometimes we won't look at the crowd that often, but so much of it is like, if it's really going to be played right, I want it to feel like practice. Because the practice is what we've done a lot.
Well, I feel like what you mean by us against them is like, you're just doing this for you guys.
But that
And
sounds
then-
weird, though, because that's not necessarily what...
It's not like you being against them. It's
Yeah.
you guys not really doing it for them.
Yeah.
You like there's a degree of separation between you and the audience.
And I hope that there's like an understanding that if we do that, it's so we can maybe play the way we want to, or have stuff sound like. I don't know. It's weird because at a certain point, playing like the bigger the stage or the crowd, the less
50,000.
every time we
100,000.
play to like 100,000 people, it just feels like I'm playing to no one.
70,000.
But like at a certain point, it feels like you're not playing to other people.
700,000.
When we were playing that show in that house, though, I was thinking there was not very many people there. It was like 20 something, 30. I don't know.
1,000.
20 something, 30,000.
Yeah, but like I almost got kind of like anxious because I was looking at everyone.
Yeah.
And they could see me looking at them, and
Yeah.
it just felt like awkward and weird, and
And you were in a little vest.
I was wearing a little.
That was part of it too. You were dressed up as Marty McFly.
Yeah, and I was wearing glasses, which was scary.
You could see better.
You could see them.
I could actually see people's
Yeah.
faces. I don't know. I guess also we've been playing the same set for like
Yeah.
a year at this point. So anything to change it up and make it not feel natural really scares me. Because I've reached a point where I think the more something becomes like natural and unconscious, the harder it is for you to consciously or like to very explicitly think about any part of it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because now it's like I get really stressed out when I have to think about a part.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, if I mess up live, I'll usually completely forget a section. I don't even know what it sounds like. Like, I have no idea.
That's just like, that requires like a lot of practice. A degree of practice that I have never experienced in anything in my life. Because I mean, with Sea Cats is all about this. We practiced rarely.
Yeah, I mean, we just like always practice a bunch when there's like a new thing being introduced
Yeah.
or a new person, and then we just practice right before the show.
Yeah,
But
but
that-
I liked that
That
though.
creates, like, I think, like, very special shows.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't,
Well,
like...
and like the practice we have before the show is because we're adding a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Special Explosion, maybe we don't have as, like, the shows and maybe are, like, very similar. Like, every time
I think
play.
it's just a different dynamic. It's just a different approach to shows.
Sounds better.
It sounds, yeah. I mean, like every time I see you
Nicer to
guys,
listen to.
I'm always appreciative of just how tight you sound. Like, I mean, you just play your songs really well.
Less funny though.
There's this thing
Less-
that I really
less
love
funny.
about being in, like, watching a CCAT show where I, for some reason, feel emotionally invested in the set. Where I'm like, I
Everybody-
hope everything.
Totally.
Like, well, like, I don't know. It's like, as a crowd, like, I feel like the crowd participates a lot more. The same way, like, and not just because you guys do, like, some funny stuff, but still, like, at a comedy show, for example, like, the crowd, there's an emotional investment in
Comedy
this guy on
show.
stage.
Yeah.
Because you're nervous.
Yeah.
Because this guy's probably nervous, and like there's this sense of like anarchy almost when Seacats plays. I'm like, you guys could literally do whatever.
I just feel like with
And it's scary.
comedy, it's like
Punk rock.
comedy can just go wrong because of the energy in the room a lot more than music can if it's rehearsed. Because
Yeah.
music is just like, it can sound the same way. More so than you can like
Vibe is
deliver
affected
to the energy.
sometimes.
That's true, but I mean, it's like you can fall
You
back
can fake it.
on your just
Yeah.
autopilot mode if
Yeah.
you need to. And the songs are still going to go by and it's going to be fine. But with comedy, you have to respond more to the energy. And sometimes you can just not do that.
And-
We're into that punk rock
And that's why I think like
Comedy.
Seacats is also a
punk
band.
rock comedy.
Seacats is also a band I will like go see I'll see you guys every time you play, not just because friends and stuff. We're roommates.
Yeah.
But because I'm
just
like,
because we're
I'm like, I'm
roommates.
gonna miss out. I'm gonna miss out because they're gonna have this show, and then I'm gonna hear someone talk about, did you go see that Seacat show where blah 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 happened? And I'm be like, God, I wish I was there. I don't know.
It would be me that was saying that.
Yeah, you'd be like, Sebastian, there's this part where I was
should've
so
seen
cool
what
on
we
Dude,
stage.
do you see that part where like
We
Keenan
called
and
out-
Jordan never got off stage?
All right, and Is that it?
Is
We
it?
Gucci.
How long has it been?
An hour and 18.
You got any?
David, real quick, what do you like? What do you listen to?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Where you at?
You said you were really into the soundtrack from Ice Age.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been listening to the new Ice Age album a little bit just because one song really
Because the guy sings
intrigued
like.
me.
That's the one song I heard on the new record. It sounded like.
He had a mouthful of peanut butter when he was singing.
To me, it sounded like if King Cruel had a mouthful of peanut butter.
King Cruel.
You guys, any jokes?
Well, that singer just sounds so Danish to me that I can't not think about that.
King
He
K.
sounds like
Rool.
he sounds like my cousins. Like,
It's if King K. Rule had a
I-
mouthful of peanut butter.
if King Cruel's
I
playing
don't
Shuddy Duddy.
I don't really have like developed thoughts on that album, but like, I guess the few things I've been listening to are, I've been listening to this Brian Eno album called "Small Craft on a Milk Sea." Or wait, is that it? "Small Craft on a Milk Sea."
That sounds right. I think I've heard that word before. That phrase of words.
Milk.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Malk.
M-A-L-K.
You gotta drink your milk.
Anyways, this is the music.
Shout out to Jordan.
This is the music I sort of definitely want to make. I mean, in a romanticized sense, like the music I want to make when I'm old, and it's also sort of the music I want to make now. But like, in the sense that. Thank you, Keenan.
Sorry, a little bongo just went off in the background.
But it's I think the album's like excellent. The beginning and the end are both like very, very soft, and there's no like real drums on the whole record, and like most of the songs, or at least like a lot, like every song that I like, has a structure that like I'm just very partial to, which is just like a repeating. Like there is a song going on, like with a melody through line and like something that makes sense, but decorating it is all of these like just like complementary sounds that happen not in time, which like I just really, really enjoy. So I've been listening to that, and it's a really, really great album. And then I've also been listening to this is like way different, but the new Code Orange album, I Am King. And I was like, Sebastian is actually the first one to show me this album. I've listened to this band a little bit before this, but like the first song off this album, Sebastian showed me the music video for it, and I can't even remember, but like
Is it the
it's a song that goes "Brrr," like it has like it sounds like a movie trailer at the beginning or something. I think that song is really bad.
That's the first song that was released.
Yeah. So like when you were showing me that, I was like, this is gonna be bad. But I think there's two horrible songs on the record.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's one of them. And then the other one is the only thing that makes it really bad, I think, are the lyrics. And it's because the song is called "Your Body Is Ready," which I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a reference to "My Body Is Ready."
Yes, it is. Come on.
But the song is so self-serious, and at the end, like from the midpoint on,
My body is ready. What is that from?
Reggie Fils-Aimé.
What is it?
the E3 moment where they're showing off We Fit, and Reggie says, "My body is ready."
Yeah, the guy says like one of the Nintendo guys says, "All right, we're gonna bring up Reggie Fils-Aimé, Nintendo of America president. Come on up, Reggie. Reggie, you ready? My body is ready." And then everyone just goes, "Okay, buddy, get on the bounce board."
It was just like an awkward E3 moment that became huge. But anyway, so the song title is called
Your body is ready.
Yeah, Your Body Is Ready. And from the midpoint on, this song is so serious. And from the midpoint on, like the lowest vocal, or like there's a vocalist in the band who definitely does the lowest vocals out of like everyone else. Everyone in that band does vocals, I think. Like they all scream, but this guy has like a lower register. And from the midpoint on, he just goes, "Your body is ready," like over and over again, and it's so doesn't sound like a joke. So I'm just curious on if it's supposed to be a reference or not, because it just if you know of the reference, it sounds like it definitely is.
Yeah.
But the song throws me off. Anyways, the rest of the album, I think it's okay, but there are some songs that I think are doing some really interesting things. Like just rhythmically, that band like pulls some really strange things, especially for the genre. Like there's this song called "Starve" on the record, which is the best song on the album, in my opinion. And they have like singing, or yeah, they have singing vocals, and then they also have screaming, but like they'll do really heavy parts over the singing, and like it just becomes really like polyphonic, which is like one of the main things I look for in a lot of music. Like whenever there's like so many things going on and they're like seemingly so separated, but like they like come together well. Like if you have two vocal parts that are like doing very different things or something, but like this time it's with instruments and
Is that the
vocals,
song you
which I think
showed
is
me?
more interesting. Yeah.
That was really interesting because it seemed like it did that same vocal happen in like two different contexts. Kind
Yeah,
of?
yeah.
Yeah, it was really
the
weird.
first time like makes a little more sense because it's like a little bit of a softer part, and then it goes into a heavy part, and then the heavy part continues, but the vocals from the softer part come back. I think it's very cool. And it's like the same reason why I like White Suns and stuff. It's just like anything that sounds that polyphonic and like that interesting of a way, like I really really like. I've also I don't know. That's pretty much it. I think like I've been listening to.
Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah, Protest the Hero.
Yeah, we did listen to a little bit of that. But I've been trying because I watched Chelsea Wolfe's KEXP session, and there were some songs on it from her like newest record, Pain is Beauty. And I thought like the performance on KXP were like better than what I remember the album being, because I was very like I didn't like the album very much last year, but I like
Quite a few people like that record, right?
yeah, I mean it's probably had like the best popular or critical and popular reception out of. Sorry, my voice is going.
Her albums.
Yeah, but
I'll just try to finish all of your sentences.
thank you. But I didn't hate it, but I did not enjoy it too much, and I've been going back to listen to it again. And what bothers me is like this album is sort of her foray into electronic music, or like electronic components in her music, like using more keyboards and stuff, and like electronic beats and everything. But I like electronics in certain contexts, and I think in the context of this album, like all of her songs are in this state of not being very heavy, like some of the, or like not heavy like metal, but like her first album sort of has slower, like atmospheric sort of heaviness to it. And it's not that, but it's also not the sparseness of her second record. It's like somewhere in between, and what it ultimately like makes it for me is just like extremely boring mostly. Like the best song on that, or one of the best songs on this album is a song called "Sick," and it's like because it's so much more sparse in its like execution than a lot of the other songs, and it like makes it so you pay attention to like those layers more. But like the first song, "Feral Love," that song would be great if they took out the electronic drums, like because like the melody just repeats the entire time, and it sounds cool on its own, and like the song comes in with that melody, and then the electronic drums come in, and it's just like electronic, the equivalent of electronic double bass. So it's just like, and like, it makes that song not interesting at all. Like it just makes it sound like, I don't know, just boring.
Kind of cheesy.
Yeah, and also like, I like reverb, And like I use a lot of reverb, and I really like it in a sparse setting. But in this setting, just makes it so I feel like it's a cop out for atmosphere instead of like focusing on like a melody or a texture that or like a different sound texture that like will actually create atmosphere. Like I don't know, that album is very frustrating to me, but I don't know.
But you like KXP's versions better?
Yeah, I will, and I think what makes it is like it's just her and two other people, and there's no drummer or anything, and so it is a sparser. I mean, it's sort of like the Chelsea. It's sort of Chelsea Wolf Unplugged, you know.
Stripped down, unplugged.
People love Nirvana Unplugged.
Yeah, and it's just her with a guitar, a violinist, and a keyboard player, and it is. I think it's so much better for it. Like,
I mean, I like to bring this whole thing full circle. Like when I heard the Weezer new album songs acoustic, like that is the main problem with that Weezer album is just it being overproduced.
Yeah.
And like the guitars
Classic
are
Weezer
so
problem.
huge.
It's
It's just
scary
ridiculous.
sounding.
And like when I heard those songs acoustic, it's like, oh, they definitely have a lot of similarities to the stuff that people really, really love, but you kind of can't tell.
yeah,
Like there's some, like if Pinkerton was as produced as this album is, people would not like it nearly as much.
I mean, part of what makes the album so cool is its production, though. I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
It's
it's so raw. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
the classic, like, thing that everybody says about that album. But it's like, I mean, that's why people like it. That's true. You know?
Yeah, I mean, for Pinkerton, that's a huge reason I got into it. I was like, listen to these sounds, like they sound crazy. And like,
Yeah.
if you take like the end of Tired of Sex, when it comes in like half speed and like it's heavier, if that was produced now and
Yeah.
they made that be as heavy as it like that, because that sounded like a band in a room and like a drummer trying his hardest
Yeah.
to make it sound as heavy as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas if they did that now and it was like these huge hi-fi sounds, that would
Yeah.
be dumb. Like I would think that's a dumb part.
Can you imagine that fill? The
real quick, that reminded me. Just like a lot of bands will do a thing where like they just slow down a part to like make it heavier, like more emotionally resonant. The Brian Eno album I was talking about earlier does something I've never seen, or I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys could tell me like if this is not that original or something, but like, there's a song called Emerald and Lime. It's the first song on the album. It's like this pretty slow track that just has like a nice melody. It's like a very pleasant song. And then towards the end of the album, like as the album's closing up, there's a song called Emerald and Stone, which is the same song, but slower
Weird.
and with a little bit more atmospheric compliments going on. Which, like, it's like those songs could probably be in the same song and it could have just slowed down to create the same effect. But what's nice about this is, like, the album starts out, like, slower mid pace and it's pleasant, and then by the time it's wrapped up, like, it's really like resonant for some reason, just because like the album's wrapping up and it makes you like the opening of it is peaceful and the ending of it is peaceful as well, but it's also like warmly like sleepy, I guess. Like I don't know. It'd be a good album to listen to falling asleep.
Well, let's bring this back to why we'll repeat hooks in different songs sometimes.
Yeah, that stuff is cool.
So there's this Y record Alopecia, which is like probably their most popular record, and there's a song that's only like a minute and a half. It just goes verse chorus verse chorus. The song's called Brook and Waxing, I think, and there's a really like the chorus is really short. It's one line. He doesn't even repeat it in the chorus, and then at the end of the record, it comes back at the end of like that man he raps, and like one of the more then the first time it comes around, it's just a song, like no rapping, And it's just like it's just at the chorus, and then when it comes back, it's at the end of him rapping for a very long time. It's probably the longest song on the record. And it just comes at the very end, and it fades in, I think with a different chord progression under it maybe. But when it comes back, it's really weird, and but it fits really well, and it just like it pulls together that. And then also there's a song called "A Sky for Shoeing Horses Under" on Alopecia, and the hook from that song is repeated in another song that's on the record that came out after.
Whoa.
I think both those records were recorded in the same sessions. But it's weird, and it's like it just like this like those things like tying everything together, and also hearing hooks in different contexts really changes it because in Brook and Waxing
Gold,
that hook,
Jerry.
the hook is like not what does he say? It's like I mean the lyrics are pretty cheesy. It's just like if I'm alive, I don't feel alive or something like that. And in that context of that song's kind of funny sound.
Is it ever since I've been alive, I've wanted to die?
Yeah. But the context of that song is like it's kind of a bouncier song, and it just the hook sounds like it just sounds catchier and more like a radio hook. But when it comes in at the end of a song called "By Torpedo or Crones," I think it's the end of that song, which is like the longest, most probably monotone song on that record, where he's rapping about like him having Crohn's disease and thinking about himself dying a lot. That line coming back in there just has a completely different mood.
Yeah.
And I think they actually just took his take from the other song.
Wow.
And pasted it at the end, and like it's so much darker there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's cool.
That's very interesting. I really like stuff like that. I mean, I like going back to that Code Orange album. It's sort of a similar thing, just like the singing vocals in that one song are just applied to two different contexts, and it's amazing.
I like context switching. To bring it back to
Dude, everything's
to bring it back to Kanye West one more time. He references his pink polo shirt in every album, and then he
And a
says, "Wake up,
backpack.
Mr. West."
Oh, and to bring it
Also-
back to Metal Gear, there's a character that pees in every game. Pees himself.
Wake up, Mr. West, Mr. West. That's all I got.
Do you like remixes?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever had a remix that I really like.
It seems like that's what you're talking about.
Just-
a different song.
Oh yeah, but I guess
like the same melody.
I gotta turn it back
over a
on.
different chord progression.
Do you got to reconnect to it?
So you don't know if you like remixes?
I don't know. I haven't found one that I really resonate with, I guess.
Can you think of any famous remixes you've heard?
I like some good.
Now, usually I don't do this, but go ahead and break them off with little previews of the remix. Now, I'm not trying to be rude, but hey, pretty girl, I'm feeling you. The way you do the things you do.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're Garbage House signing off. We'll see you next week. Bye.